Hey YouTube, Ed here with Jack of All Trades, and welcome to another video. So today what we are going to be doing is we are going to be discussing, talking about, and doing a little shooting of the Smith & Wesson M&P 22 Compact. We're going to talk about how I feel about the gun, what I like, what I dislike about it. We're also going to do a bit of a comparison to my Taurus TX22, which I did a review on a few weeks ago. So with that, stay tuned and stick around. Let's talk about the Smith & Wesson M&P 22 Compact. Welcome back, and so let's get right into the discussion of the Smith & Wesson M&P 22 Compact. First thing, as always, anytime we're dealing with a firearm, we have to make sure it is unloaded. There's no magazine in the magazine well. The chamber is in fact empty. We are dealing with a safe firearm, and it is safe to handle. Now, I don't own this firearm. This firearm actually belongs to a friend of mine. I do not have one of these in my collection. Don't need to tell you why. Hey baby, can I buy another gun?
What the hell do you need another gun for?
But with all that being said, maybe someday I will get one of these into my collection. But let's get right into the review and discussion of it. So let's relocate the camera a little bit closer. Let's get it down here onto the tabletop, and let's talk about the M&P 22 Compact. All right, so let's begin the deerskin discussion on the M&P 22 Compact. Now, before we get too deep into it, I need to apologize for the microphone. Actually, my microphone died, and I'm just running off the microphone on the camera, so the sound quality isn't going to be quite what you're used to. All right, let's just go over some specifications quick. Obviously, this is a 22 long rifle pistol. It's got a capacity of 10 in the mag plus 1 in the pipe. It's got a manual thumb safety. The overall length of the gun is 6.65 inches. Front and rear sights are both equipped with white dots. The rear sight is fully adjustable. It's a single action with a polymer grip. The back strap is fixed, which means you cannot add an insert to adjust it to your hand. Barrel material is carbon steel. Slide material is an aluminum alloy. It's black in finish. This particular one is. It's got a barrel length of 3.6 inches, and it's got a weight of 15.3 ounces. Now, Smith & Wesson says this is supposed to be a scaled down version of the full-size M&P pistol. The threaded barrel, which will accept, when you put the adapter on it, will accept a 1/2x28 suppressor. 2 magazines are included with the gun. It's got an ambidextrous manual safety, a reversible magazine release, a Picatinny rail on it. It's got a magazine safety, which means the gun will not fire unless the magazine is inserted into the gun. It's got an internal safety lock. It's got a captured recoil guide rod and spring for easier assembly and disassembly, and the gun is made in the USA. First thing we always talk about is fit and finish. Typical Smith & Wesson, highest quality. Fit and finish, I have nothing to gripe about on the fit and finish of this gun. Everything is well made. There's no machining marks. There's no blemishes in the finish. If I have to make a gripe about fit and finish, it's maybe a seam in the back of the polymer grip. But when you're dealing with polymers, that you're going to have that. There's just no way around it. So the fit and finish of this gun is exactly what I would expect out of a Smith & Wesson, which is of the highest quality, and I have no way I can gripe about this thing. So let's talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. One of the things that I really don't like about this gun is the additional safety features that Smith & Wesson has added to this thing. Namely being the need that the Smith & Wesson engineers felt to have a safety lock on this thing. You can see right there, there's a little hole right there. And when you've got the safety engaged, you can put a key in there, which you get with it, which I do not have with me because my friend didn't give me the key, which allows you to lock the safety in an on position. I don't understand why that's necessary. When I took firearm safety training or hunter safety training many, many years ago when I was just a young lad, my firearms instructor told me, you never point a gun at something you don't intend to shoot. And you, even if the safety is on, you don't ever point a gun at something you don't intend to shoot, because safeties are not a guarantee that the gun is not going to go off. A safety is a mechanical device that's built by human beings. Therefore, it's got 2 strikes against it right off the bat. It's a mechanical device. Mechanical devices always and will fail at some point in time. 2, it's built by human beings, an imperfect creature that does not make things perfectly. So right there, it's got 2 strikes against it. Okay, yeah, great. The safety is locked on to the on position, but that does not make this gun safe. Especially considering the fact that even with the safety on, you could still operate the slide. You could still put the magazine in there. You could still feasibly load the firearm. It's just the safety is engaged, which means you can't pull the trigger or you can't drop the firing pin when you squeeze the trigger. But that does not make this a safe weapon. It's still loaded. It's still got 1 in the chamber. It doesn't really. I put in an empty magazine, but I'm doing this for demonstration purposes. You feasibly still could load this firearm. And even though the safety is on a locked position, does not make this gun safer. I do not understand the need for a safety lock on these firearms. If you're going to lock something, lock the slide so it can't operate. Do anything to make this actually more functional, but locking the safety is utterly ridiculous. The safest way to safe this firearm is right there, in your hands. You take your hands and you put this in a gun safe and you lock the gun safe. You take the ammunition and you lock that away somewhere. If that's what you need to do to make that gun safe, that's what you need to do. Safety is in your hands. It's not in the hands of the manufacturer to make this gun safe. Another gripe I kind of have about this gun is, and I'm not a big proponent of dry firing rimfire guns, but you can't dry fire this, or you can't pull the trigger on this unless it's got a magazine in there. And then you can dry fire it. Take the magazine out, it won't. The trigger doesn't function. I don't understand the need for that, but to me it's a little bit of an annoyance. The other thing that kind of annoys me is how you have to disassemble this gun. This gun is partway the same as every other gun out there in disassembly, but then it changes, it takes a different path. So just like every other gun out there, you have to lock the slide to the rear, disengage the takedown lever. This is where it changes. Now, normally, any other gun manufacturer, you would slide this forward and you would slide the whole slide off the front end of the gun, but not this. Not Smith & Wesson. This one, you have to go all the way to the rear, lift it off of the frame, and ease everything forward. So what you're doing is you're putting the operating rod and springs under compression, lifting the slide off of the frame, and then easing everything forward. I can completely see somebody losing their grip on this thing and it goes flying across the room, causing damage to maybe the firearm or somebody. Not a big fan of that, but I guess it works. The other thing I'm not a fan of is the fact that you can't remove this barrel unless you drift out those 2 pins. So those 2 pins have to be drifted out in order to take the barrel off. I don't like the concept of putting a cleaning rod down here and possibly damaging these components by ramming a cleaning rod through here. It just doesn't, I don't know, I'm not getting a warm fuzzy on this. To put the gun back together, you have to put it in reverse order. Now you'll see the operating rod here's got a little bit of a chamfered face. That's got to be up towards the barrel like this. And then you just put everything back together in reverse order. And there it is. It's all back together. Some of the things that I really like about this gun is I really like how well the serrations are cut. These are really nice and easy to grab. I wish there was some up front. It's totally smooth up here. And if you're the kind of person that likes to grab a slide up front, it's a little slippery here, but then they couldn't put their cute little lettering on this. But the serrations in the back are really, really good. I like the fact that they put a Picatinny rail on here. That's pretty awesome. You can put a laser on it, or you can put a flashlight on it. If you're using this for coon hunting or something like that, you could put a flashlight on here. Or if you're using it for trapping and you're dispatching animals in the traps and you're doing it in the dark, you have a flashlight up here. That's really nice that they put a Picatinny rail up here. The thing I really like about this is this gun, as far as controls are concerned, is laid out just like any other striker fired pistol out there, which makes this an excellent choice for training on striker fired pistols, i.e. a gun that you might be using for concealed carry. The slide release is in the same spot. If your gun has a safety, there's a safety here. The safety is actually very reminiscent of like a 1911 style safety. The safety is actually ambidextrous, so it's good for righties or lefties. Everything else is laid out on the right side for a right, or left side for a right-handed shooter. The magazine release right here comes from the factory on the left side for a right-handed shooter, but I did look on the manual and it is reversible, so you can reverse it to make it set up for a left-handed shooter. Oh, but otherwise the controls on this gun are laid out very, very well as a training piece for concealed carry guns, specifically the M&P Shield. If you have an M&P Shield, you should have a Smith & Wesson 22 compact, because this is almost identical to this. The thickness of the grip is almost identical. The beaver tails are slightly different. You can see that the back end of the gun here is very, very different. The sights are very similar in nature, which makes the 22 compact an ideal training tool for the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield. And I say it again, if you have an M&P Shield, you should probably have a Smith & Wesson M&P 22 compact, because this would be an excellent training piece for that. The big difference on this is the safety itself. You can see the safety on the 22 is quite a bit higher and it's quite a bit more raised, whereas the safety on the M&P Shield is much more subdued, and it's much more, you have to be much more deliberate. It's not nearly the same. Disengaging is really not hard on this, but it's very different in that respect. So that is the major difference that I can see between these two, other than the weight. The M&P Shield is just a little bit heavier, and then if you get 9mm ammunition in it with a full magazine, it's going to be a little heavier yet. Excellent training tool if you own an M&P Shield and this is what you're using for a carry weapon. So let's talk a little bit about the trigger pull on this. So again, I have to have a stupid magazine in here to dry fire this. And again, I'm not a big proponent of dry firing rimfire guns, but we need to do that to have this portion of the discussion. So trigger on this, you've got quite a bit of creep on this. There's a lot of take up on this, but it's not all that dissimilar from the M&P Shield. Quite a bit of take up on the M&P Shield. Quite a bit of take up on the 22 compact. There's a little more take up on the compact than there is on the Shield. I'd say on the Shield we've got a good 3/4 of an inch, or on the 22 compact, excuse me, on the Shield we've probably got a 1/2 inch. So there's a little more take up on the M&P 22 compact. Once you hit that take up, there's quite a bit of creep to actually disengage the sear. The sear isn't very totally crispy. It's a little gritty. It's a little bit gritty and it's a little bit jerky. I'm not horribly impressed with that trigger. It's not the best trigger I've ever felt in the world. You can see as I'm squeezing it, I'm trying to squeeze it back gentle. There's definite there's definite work that could be done on that trigger to make it just a hair smoother. It's just not as smooth as I would like it to be. And now, if we're dealing with the M&P Shield 9mm, this has got a much smoother trigger on it. So yeah, just not real happy with that trigger on the 22 compact. And maybe over the course of time and a few more rounds through it, that might smooth out, but it is a little gritty, and it's not real crisp. The other thing I like about the Smith & Wesson M&P 22 compact is the fact that you can make it suppressor ready. You can see here there is a barrel thread protector, and that's what this is. This is a thread protector which does come off, and you can see there it's threaded, or it's a separate piece, and it does come off, and it exposes threads to mount a barrel adapter on here to give you 1/2x28 threads so that you can mount a suppressor to it. I do not have the barrel adapter. This gun actually was purchased before Smith & Wesson was actually providing the barrel adapters, so I don't have it. It's actually on the way. We did order one from Smith & Wesson along with their proprietary little wrench, which brings me to another gripe. You have to have Smith & Wesson's proprietary little wrench to get this barrel adapter on and off. I do not like that. My TX22 uses your standard garden variety homeowner's tools like anybody's got in their toolbox to get that barrel adapter on and off. Smith & Wesson, you have to have their cute little tool to do it. The other thing I don't like about it is the fact that when you do get the little wrench, you can see here's the flat that wrench has got to sit into. There's one there and there's one underneath there, and where is it right in line with? It's right in line with the operating rod. How the hell are you supposed to turn that off when that operating rod is there? You have to basically disassemble the gun so to get that operating rod out of the way. Now it does look like it'll clear the nose of the frame itself, but it will not clear the operating rod. So you are going to have to disassemble the pistol completely to get that off. The problem is you have to reassemble the pistol before you put the barrel adapter back on again, because once you've got the barrel adapter back on, you can't put the slide on. So I'm really not sure how this is going to go. And I'm going to do another video on it when I get the barrel adapter so that I can show you guys how this is working out. But I can't see how this is going to work out because I can see that this operating rod is going to be a problem. If it was me, and if I owned this firearm, and unfortunately I don't, I would take this adapter or this thread protector to a machinist, and I would have him machine these flats off so that I could actually get this thing off with regular hand tools instead of their proprietary little wrench, because I've heard horror stories of Smith & Wesson's little wrench actually breaks, because you can see it's very, very thin. That can't be much more than 1/8 of an inch. Maybe, yeah, no, it's got to be 1/8 of an inch thick. I can fully see that snapping off and breaking, so I'm not real happy about that. Other than that, the gun shoots good. I know my buddy who's had this, he says he hasn't had hardly any failures with it. It always seems to shoot. Today I shot about 150, 125, 150, something like that, rounds out of it. I had one failure to extract, and that was with the Federal 1200 foot per second bulk pack ammunition. And I more than anything blame that on the ammunition, because this isn't the most reliable ammunition in the world. But then again, rimfire ammo is not the most reliable ammunition in the world. So I have to blame the ammo. But I had one failure to extract, and that was with the full high power ammo. I did shoot the 45 grain CCI Quiets, which is designed for semi-autos. I shot 10 shots out of that. I had no malfunctions of any sort. It shot them just fine. Then I loaded up a second magazine, so I shot 20 rounds through it. I had absolutely no problem feeding and shooting this ammunition through this gun, although I was not able to do it through the suppressor. I did also run the 40 grain CCI Quiets, which is only running 710 feet per second, and it performed exactly like I thought it would. It turned this gun into a single shot. It would not eject the shell. There just wasn't enough pop behind it to eject it. That's not the gun's fault. That's a product of the ammo. This ammunition is designed for bolt action firearms and for training kids and stuff like that because it's not quite as loud to the ears. So that's really what this stuff is, and it just doesn't have enough pop to cycle the ammunition. But the quiets that are designed for semi-autos function perfectly. So let's talk about how do I like the M&P 22 compared to my Taurus TX22. As far as functioning, shootability, how things worked on the gun, I have to give them both very high marks. I can't compare the two and say one is better than the other. I can, however, say that I do like my TX22 better for a couple of reasons. One, because I can get 16 rounds in the magazine as opposed to only 10. Two, I like the fact that the grip is a little bit fatter and it fills my big hands up much, much better. I do like that about it. The Taurus does have just a bit of a longer barrel, not much, but a little bit longer barrel than the TX or than the M&P 22 compact. I much prefer how you mount the barrel adapter on this as opposed to this, because I can do this one with just regular old hand tools that everybody's got in their toolbox. I don't need Smith & Wesson's cute little wrench to get the job done. Both of them have fully adjustable rear sights. My Taurus TX22, the front sight is not adjustable. In fact, the front sight is permanently mounted, so I have no option to change that. That is a one-up that the M&P 22 compact has. I like the fact that there's forward serrations on the Taurus, whereas the M&P does not have those, and that's really not a barn burner unless you're one of these people that likes to operate the slide from the front, and some people do, and that's just the way they operate, and that's fine. You can do that. I already talked about magazine capacities. Now let's look at my Taurus TX22 empty. This has got a much, much nicer trigger on it. I got about the same amount of take up, but once I'm past that take up and I'm engaging the sear, it's right there, and it's super crisp and it's super nice and smooth. There's no grit to this whatsoever. You get into the shield or the M&P 22 compact, you get rid of that take up. There's some grittiness to that trigger. I'm not real happy with that trigger. I'm not real impressed with it. Other than that, the guns shoot both very, very well. And if it was me, I would be perfectly happy to have both of them in my collection. Although I would tend to gravitate more towards the TX22 just because I like the way it feels in my hand a little bit better. Shootability, functionality, everything very, very, very similar and almost identical in all respects. So it's very hard to say I like one better than the other, but I do have to say that I tend to like the TX22 better than the M&P 22 compact. So all that being said, I really can't say that one is better than the other, with the few exceptions that we discussed about magazine capacity, forward serrations, a little fuller grip, different style trigger guard. Both of them have Picatinny rails up front. Both of them have ambidextrous safeties. Both of them are suppressor ready. Both of them have fully adjustable rear sights. Very, very similar in respects in many ways. So there it is, the Smith & Wesson M&P 22 compact. Do I like this gun? Sure. It's a fine pistol. It shoots well, it functions well, it's fairly accurate. On a rating scale of 1 to 10, I give this gun an 8, simply because of the silly little safety features that I don't believe add a whole lot of safety, and the fact that you need to have Smith & Wesson's proprietary little tools to get this barrel adapter or barrel protector off so that you can make this a suppressor ready firearm. That's the only reason I give this an 8. It's a fine gun, it shoots good, it's a great training tool if you have a striker fired weapon as a concealed carry, especially if you've got an M&P Shield 9mm. This is an excellent training tool if you own one of these, because they are so almost identical in size and function. The big differences obviously are going to be the weight and the recoil. The M&P 22 Compact would be an excellent training tool if you own a 9mm Shield. Now, at the end of the day, given the option to take my Taurus TX22 over the M&P 22 Compact, I'm going to do it every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And why is that? No other reason than I like the way this gun feels in my hand. It fills up my big old meat hooks. It points good for me. It shoots good for me. I love everything about the TX22. That's not saying the M&P 22 Compact isn't a good gun, because it is. It is a good gun, and it shoots very well, and it's functioned every kind of ammunition I sent through it today, with the exception of the ammunition I fully didn't expect it to function today. So, all being said and done, it's a fine firearm, and would be a great addition to anybody's collection, to include my own someday, and hopefully I can get that done as well. With that, I hope you liked this video. I hope it was informative to you. I hope you like this kind of content. If you do like this kind of content, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. Ding that notification bell so that you get notified of upcoming videos. Make sure you give me some thumbs ups, give me some comments. That all helps out with the YouTube algorithms. And I never ask you for money. I just want the subscribers, and I just want the comments. And I really hope you appreciate these videos. And if you do, I'll continue to do them. So with that, this is Ed with Jack of All Trades. Thank you for riding along, and we will see you on the next video.